Hello, and welcome to the Freedom Zone, where the truth is set free from corporate control and suppression of the press. I'm your host, Candace, and we've got quite a few things to go over today. Things that really bother you the more you think about them. In fact, I really wasn't planning on dealing with this, but I just get madder and madder every time I see it. And the matter I'm talking about is Jussie Smollett and Rahm Emanuel. It seems that Jussie Smollett has had all the charges locally, and I guess for the state, dropped. And guess who got him off? Oh, Chief of Staff of Michelle Obama, whose hometown is Chicago. Let me think. Oh yeah, the Obamas. That's interesting, isn't it? And he's doing community service with the Reverend Jesse Jackson for about 2 days. So I'm sure he's sorry now. If anybody saw Rahm Emanuel and his indignant dog and pony show press conference, honestly, he would not win an Oscar on that one. And I think he was acting. I think he was trying to be indignant when really he's like, I must have been paid off. I'm so happy. Because that's the only way that I think that guy would ever get up and even be indignant about it in a situation like this. Believe me, if it was me or anybody else in the free world and we set up some extreme BS against Trump by staging a hate crime, being dumb enough to write a check for the services rendered, we'd be in jail. We'd be in jail for so long, our beard would be down to our feet. So, this is the biggest crock of horse hooey I've ever heard in my whole entire life. So speaking of horse hooey and stuff that we can't believe, it appears that Mueller has finished his investigation. Robert Mueller, the most, he who hath fed on honeydew for the Democrats, he's finished his investigation. But what? What's that? Oh, he didn't find anything. What do you know about that? I'm going to recommend a couple of things for your Democrat friends that's going to be necessary for the next couple of weeks. This is a crying towel so that you can listen and they can boo-hoo-hoo-hoo all they want so the waterworks don't come up to over your shoes or something like that. Because Mueller didn't find anything. Mueller was supposed to be getting Trump. He didn't. There was nothing to get. We knew that. All of us knew that. What I want to know is, when did he know that? Was it first week, first month, first year? Because I think the rest of the time he was just enjoying a really nice salary. Another thing you should keep around for your Democratic friends is aloe. Because you can say, hey, would you like some aloe to put on that burn that you just got from Robert Mueller, who did not accomplish all that you had on your mind that he would do, that he would make it all better. He would make impeach 45, the new catchword, because he was going to find the goods. Oh, there weren't any goods. Yeah, there's no evidence of collusion, no evidence of obstruction. All is pretty much lost as far as Mueller's concerned. And all of a sudden, instead of being the golden boy, now he's kind of the redheaded stepchild, I suppose you might call him, or something worse, maybe they're calling him. But, he was the demigod of impeach 45. He was going to make it happen. He was going to serve up Jared and Ivanka, that lovely couple who work for free, people. They work for free to help our country, just like our president works for free to help our country, and donates his salary to wonderful causes. I think Herbert Hoover and JFK were the last presidents to work for free. So the rest of them were in it for the money, one way or the other. But all is not lost. That's the good thing. It's when you're handing out your crying towel to your friends, you can remind them that all is not lost, because there's pencil neck Shifty Shift. He's in control. He's in charge. He's on the game. He's going to make it happen. They're going to look under every rock. Anybody that's ever passed by Trump and said good morning, they're going to call them in, they're going to talk to them, they're going to see what they can find, and as soon as they get the entire report, they're going to go through it piece by piece so that they can find something that will get President Trump. And if he can't do it, if he's not going to be the man of the hour, we've got someone else. We've got Nadler. He's the goober that doesn't know anything about the law, but he's saying he's going to do this and this and that, and they're going to vow to continue the investigations until time eternal, or 2020, whichever comes next. However, all this is doing is making the Democrats look like a bunch of Keystone cops running around hitting people on the head with a stick for no good reason. And it's ridiculous. It's just absolutely ridiculous. And all this basically tells me is that the Democratic Party isn't planning on doing anything for anyone else, the country, or their constituents. All they're going to do is they're going to continue to roll around, foaming at the mouth with Trump derangement syndrome. There's absolutely no reason why they need to continue this. It's done. The man in charge of the whole thing has said it is done, so it's done. But Trump's happy, and I'm happy, and look at that big grin. Oh, that's a good one. But you know what? Maybe this comes to mind. We have that. There we go. Ha ha, ha ha. It sounds good, doesn't it? But why have they allowed our president, and yes, he is our president. He was duly elected by people like us, and we said we wanted him. Why has he been allowed to have to try and govern under the cloud of this BS investigation that probably Mueller knew was absolute BS, if not the first 3 months, the first year for sure? There is absolutely nothing that he knew of that he could find. He indicted people in another country, which, like, they're going to come over here and get indicted. You know, that's absolutely crazy. But enough of that. Just remember your crying towel for your friends that are Democrats and the aloe for their burn. But enough about the disappointed Dems. What I find very offensive, and I live in North Carolina, so this is extremely offensive to me in this case, but it's not just this case, because there's a lot more cases that have, excuse me, that have been adulterated by this process. This is the misconception that a judge makes law. You know, you have the Ninth Circuit running around trying to, eviscerate everything President Trump puts out as an executive order. You judge shop and find somebody that'll go with your way of thinking. Judges do not, let me repeat that, do not ever make law. They interpret the law as according to how it is written. Their responsibility is to be sure that everything coincides with the exact letter of the law or the Constitution. In North Carolina, on the ballot in 2016, it was put to a vote, should we have voter ID for every voter? Now, I don't see why that's a problem. If you write a check, you have to put an ID. If you rent a motel room or a car, you have to put an ID. I mean, if you go get your medicine and it's something pretty strong, they make you give an ID. If you buy Sudafed, you have to give an ID. But yet, it's horrible, horrible, horrible that we want people to show an ID to prove that they are who they are and they're legal to vote. In North Carolina, a federal judge has overturned the will of the people who have voted in the voter ID law, that everyone that votes should show an ID. The judge says that it was passed by the voters, quote unquote, with racially discriminatory intent. Really? You're saying that every single person, black, white, yellow, green, doesn't matter, in North Carolina is a racist. And the reason that they voted for it, it was because they were thinking, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, I'm going to get everybody. That is such junk. There's no way that everyone in a state is a racist. The 3 judges assigned to the case were all Democratic appointees. They were unanimous. And the reason they were unanimous, they feel like because everything's Republican controlled, like the Congress of North Carolina, that it's just wrong to ask people for an ID. The court's opinion was that, very bluntly described, that they were trying to suppress the black vote. Why would anybody want to do that when all you have to do is show the ID, just like when you're going to buy alcohol or tobacco? Should we just get rid of that too? No ID for nothing. Just go in and say, hi, I'm Sally Queen, and I say that I need to take everything out of your store. Okay, fine, go ahead. And I mean, it's just crazy, crazy things that these people have come up with. I can't buy that a whole entire state is racist. That's just absurd. It's just absurd to the point that we don't even know why you would say it. I mean, and this is from the Fourth Circuit, that says that they rebuked everybody, saying that, it's a big decision and it was all racially motivated, and, they've got ample evidence of bias, but of course they never put the pieces together or anything. There's no way. There's just absolutely no way. I don't think that a judge ever has the right to overturn the people and the will of the people by a vote, by a legal vote that was put on the ballot. They have absolutely no right to overturn that. And personally, I don't see how it can be racist when every state, even if you cannot drive, they will issue you a state picture ID. That's not a big deal. You have 4 years from the last election to get one. It's coming up to 2020. If you feel like you need an ID, go down and get it this week, because you've got plenty of time to accomplish this. And there's plenty of ways to prove who you are. It's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. It's a horrible trend. And the thing is, judges are out of hand in this country. They do not make the law, as I put out in the beginning of this segment. They do not make the law. They interpret the law. They tell you if something's constitutional. They tell you if a crime has been committed. They tell you if a law that has passed is constitutional or unconstitutional. That's all they do. They don't say, hey, we made a law. No, you don't make a law. You interpret the law. So we're going to go to a break, and then we'll be back with something else that's very interesting and also bothers me a great deal. Thanks for coming to the Freedom Zone, and join us for the next segment.
Hello, my name is Chad Watkins. I'm the manager at Larry's Body Shop. We are a family-owned and operated business and have been serving the North Georgia area since 1978. We are located at 1216 Progress Road in LOJ, Georgia. Our shop specializes in collision repair, and we work with all major insurance companies. Larry's Body Shop is ICAR Gold, the highest role of training recognized by the collision repair industry. It is estimated that only 10% of collision shops meet these standards. Our shop consists of state-of-the-art equipment such as laser measurement system, down drive spray booth, spot and MIG welding equipment. All of our paints are mixed on site so that we can guarantee your paint to match every time. I know that having an accident can be a stressful event. We take pride in making sure our customers are satisfied with the repair of their vehicles. Our waiting area is clean and comfortable with free Wi-Fi and refreshing beverages. So if you're in an accident, stop by and see us at Larry's Body Shop.
Hi, I'm Rhonda the Mattress Lady, and this is my husband Gary, owners of Mattress Overstocked in J next to Walmart. And we want to earn your business. From the time you walk in our door to the time we deliver your new mattress to your door, you will see the difference. Our selection and prices are the best in North Georgia, and customer service is our top priority. So y'all come on in and let us help you find the right mattress at the right price. That's Mattress Overstocked in J next to Walmart.
Circuit World, with multiple locations to serve you in Murphy and Franklin, North Carolina, Blairsville, Blue Ridge, and J, Georgia. Locally owned and operated since 1985. Appliances, electronics, and furniture. Name brand products like LG, Samsung, Dell, Whirlpool, Ashley, Catnapper, and more. No credit check, only 10% down on furniture, and only $10 down on any new lease purchase. Mention FYN10 for your special deal today at Circuit World. In 1981, Reed Nicholson began selling tires out of an old barn in Mineral Bluff. Little did he know that he had just laid the groundwork for the most trusted names in automotive services in the Blue Ridge area. In 1997, Nicholson Tire Center became what it is today, holding the same values of faith, family, and great customer service. 2 locations to serve you, and the Blue Ridge location is currently expanding to offer fast service and the largest U-Haul provider in Georgia. Nicholson Tire Center, Blue Ridge, and Mineral Bluff.
Hello and welcome back to the Freedom Zone, where the truth is set free whether anybody likes it or not. This is my next segment. I'd like to talk about Justice for Judge Jeanine. Her show, which is Justice with Judge Jeanine, has been pulled from its Saturday night 9 p.m. slot by Fox News. This is the second week her show has been pulled. She's being denied her First Amendment rights, and creative rights too, if you want to get down to it, because she had an opinion about freshman Congresswoman Ilhan Omar. This woman, Ms. Omar, is allowed to say horrible, hateful things about Jews and Israel, which I absolutely disagree with. I stand with Israel every day. They have a right to live. They have a right to defend themselves. And she accuses all of us of being in it just because we get money from them somehow. I don't think that's true. Or maybe we make money off of them somehow, which I don't know about all that either, because we are partners with them. They are one of our only allies in the Middle East that we can trust. They're the only democracy in the Middle East. They're constantly under attack from Hamas and Hezbollah, and every time those two groups throw a rocket at them and they shoot back, then they're the bad guys, which isn't, I don't see how anybody can come up with that, but that's what it always is. It's unclear at this time whether or not Judge Jeanine will be reinstated into her time slot and show. I can tell you that I stand with her, and my household will not be watching Fox News on Saturday night. We would start at 8 o'clock and watch through 11 o'clock with Greg Gutfield, who is still great. But we're not now. It's in protest of Judge Jeanine being pulled from her time slot. What's being experienced here is censorship. And we've gone over this before. We've talked about it with the Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. All these media outlets are not allowing people who are conservative to think or talk or speak or put anything out. So the thing is, this is censorship. It's not anything new, but it's been going on. It's been going on baby step by baby step for the last 60 years. And you say, 60 years? What do you mean? Well, those of you who are old enough to remember, like myself, remember the show, the Smothers Brothers Variety Show. It was a very funny show. They had music, they had talent, they had all kinds of people on there. But they also were a little bit political, especially Tommy. Tommy was very political. This was a time when comedy, even if you talked about politicos or celebrities, whatever, it was funny. It wasn't hateful. It didn't contain all the vitriol that that you see nowadays. Because now there's no such thing as comedy. Comedy is just flat talk ugly about Trump and his family, and that you're supposed to be funny, which I don't find that funny. Back then, you could make fun of people who were in the public eye, and it made people laugh. And even the people who were being made fun of, such as Ronald Reagan with Rich Little or whoever, he would laugh about it because he didn't take himself so seriously the way people do now. It's also the time when, if you didn't like the content of the show, you turned it off, you watched another show. You didn't have to go into a closet and cry or get a safe space because there's a show on TV that you don't like. That's the crazy thing about nowadays, is everybody's able to be offended, and you're supposed to crawl away because they're offended and not have your show or not have your product because they don't like it. Did you know that Steve Martin also wrote for the Smothers Brothers? You know, the wild and crazy guy that was in Saturday Night Live back when it was funny, because it used to be funny, when we had the original cast and Steve Martin was a guest a lot of the time with them. It was funny. They made fun of people. Of course they did. It was funny. It wasn't ridiculous. It wasn't offensive. It was entertainment, and we don't really have any of that. But anyway, the Smothers Brothers were not exactly mainstream, which I guess maybe is an understatement. But the thing is, their show would often have jokes, and the current president at the time, Richard Nixon, would be the butt of those jokes. Now, it's widely known of Watergate and the fact that Richard Nixon had an extremely thin skin. He took himself extremely seriously. No one could make fun of him without directing his ire at them. So President Nixon gave the NBC executives the nod, wink, wink thing so that, they needed to go. And so their show was pulled, just like Judge Jeanine. Their show was pulled because the content was not pleasing to the mainstream establishment in politics or the President, Richard Nixon. Not only was the show canceled, they were blackballed in the community as far as getting other entertainment work. They were not able to get another show. Tommy ended up, with his partnership with his brother, Richard, they opened a vineyard. They had to do other things because they were not allowed to go forward because of their opinions, which I might not agree with your opinion. You might not agree with my opinion, but you've got a right to say it. I've got a right to not like it, and vice versa. If something's on the TV, I don't like it, I turn the channel. it's simple. I don't understand why everybody has to, get around and cry about things just because it's something you don't like. My goodness, if you went through your whole life like that, you'd never stop. While the networks used to have, it was a process by which they thought a show would be decent. In the 50s, married couples would sleep in twin beds on a variety show like I Love Lucy and all that, because they didn't believe that that would be decent to show them sleeping in the same bed, even if they were married. You didn't say certain words. You didn't show certain content. I would not consider that especially censorship, because at the time, TV was family time, and it still is in prime time. So you don't want your 5-year-old seeing things that maybe they're not ready to process, and it's hard for you to explain. But this in the 60s was the beginning of true censorship, beyond the fact of trying to keep things decent. This was trying to keep you quiet. This was trying to keep you from saying whatever you believed, because they didn't want you to put that opinion out. I was hoping that, that back then it was good press too, but it wasn't good press. The Vietnam War was going on, and people didn't like it, and the media stoked it up. I mean, you got Walter Cronkite, and then many of those other journalists during that time would go to Vietnam and show dead babies and show villages torched and all that, but they never showed the fact that, number one, the troops couldn't say no if they had orders. That's just not part of being in the military service. And number two, what they did, in retaliation as far as the Vietnamese back to our soldiers. They only spun it the way that they wanted to. So spin, I guess, has been around for quite a while. But I'm very disappointed in Fox News, because they seem to be shutting people down if a possible quote-unquote offense occurs. Why? I thought that Fox News was the one that would stand up and say what no one else wanted to say. But I see that they're not. It's very disappointing, and when you've got absolutely no major network news to watch besides Fox, it's even more disappointing, because you don't know, what else you can watch. You can get stuff on the internet, and of course you can always watch Fetch Your News. And if you want to know more about censorship within the last 60 years, you can check out my last article, which is shown on our website under Words of Candace Harden, and it'll give you a bit deeper background into how censorship has progressed. And it's not just news or social media that is blocking people that don't agree with their opinions. It seems that the city of San Antonio, which is a lovely city that I've visited, has decided that they will ban Chick-fil-A from being able to open a kiosk in their airport, because they do not agree with their Christian values and their corporate purpose. And one of the grandchildren or sons of Truett Cathy had said something that offended the LBGT community, and they're considered hate organizations. Now, he didn't say anything about hating anybody. He had an opinion, once again, and you don't have to like people's opinions. That's not the deal. You're not supposed to like it, or you might, but you don't get to shut people down and stop them from going out and opening a business in a free economy in a capitalist society like this, because you're just not happy with something they said. That's wrong. That's absolutely wrong. And it seems like nowadays, unless, if you're not on the left, you're banned or shut down or censored. If this doesn't stop, where's it going to go? Where's it going to go? Are we going to be, is it going to be like Papers, Please to walk around town, or, be called into re-education camps if we don't say the right things? But, I mean, it's absolutely frightening that people are allowing this. Being put on a hate list or a no-go list in a city to open a business on a national chain, how ridiculous is that? How ridiculous is that? And who's the one making the list? That's what I want to know. What qualifies you to make the list? What makes you the one that can say, this is good, this is bad, you're mean, you're not mean? I mean, this is like kindergarten where you're choosing sides and, you're either on Team Coco or Team No-No or whatever it is, when you're 5 years old, that's fine. But when you're an adult, and these are people who are adults in the city council, and they're doing the same kind of thing that 5-year-olds do. It's unreal, people. You're going to have to start standing up for your First Amendment rights. Your Second Amendment right is the next one. They have a hearing this week on the red flag for gun owners. Like, if I decide you're a crazy person, I can tell people and you can get your guns confiscated. You need to check that out. That's the red flag that they're putting through the Senate, gun control. So that's the Freedom Zone for today. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time in the Freedom Zone, where the truth is set free.